Welcome to Media Literary Sandwich, episode 13? What? We're on 12, right?
13,
yes.
I think.
No, 13. 13.
Yes.
All right, so it's been a while since I saw you.
I know, it's been forever.
William from allaboutwilliam.com,
Yes,
Mark
yes.
from crazymark.com, and myself, Toaden, from Toaden.com, and of course, the YouTube channel, youtube.com/ToadenK, and this is Media Literary Sandwich. You can find us on MediaLiterarySandwich.com, Podbros.com, Podbean.something, Media Literary Sandwich, and we're also on a couple other places too, apparently.
It's all over the place, man.
Right, so Facebook has sponsored posts, and I recently saw something come up in my feed that it seemed like clickbait, but I read it. It turns out it was something. Okay, so Facebook, when they do their advertising, they can get really, really specific to someone, and we can all use this. We don't get as much as good tools as like a company that spends a lot of money does, that can really pick the audience. But even if you just throw like $5 on Facebook, you can get decently close. I'm not recommending it because I haven't had that best of luck on it. But if you're going to spend a lot of money,
I'm not about to go there either. I'm with Will.
That's just a whole other bag. But the reason I bring that up is I did click on an article that I thought was interesting. It was titled
Is it clean?
It was something like six
things a filmmaker doesn't need permission for is
Doesn't
what
need
the
permission.
YouTube link was.
Okay, so that means we're out of the hot seat now. We can do whatever we want, right?
So this was on MusicBed blog, and if you want to read the original article, that is on blog.musicbed.com, and it's interesting because MusicBed they're a music licensing company.
Yeah,
so if you want to use
that.
music, they're one of the many places where if you want to use music for whatever, you can buy tracks from there. I kind of like their pricing system. It's for professionals.
It seems like a pro outfit.
If you have
Big time professional.
if you have a budget, but it will change up by what your budget is, what
you're using it for. I took a
Cha-ching.
quick glance, but I have to take a day and do a more thorough look before I can say anything about it.
Yeah, I took a glance at it, and I'd rather not say too much. I'm just going to say when it comes to music, there's a lot of options out there. Don't get stuck saying, I have to use one, and then you find out there's something maybe better. This, to me, is something that someone might, this to me is a site if you go to, if you're really picky and you have a budget. But they have a blog there, and the blog has some cool information on it. So
excellent.
So
hey, I'm a musician, so I kind of listened to it and everything, and said, okay, this is a great place. Who knows? Maybe I might submit some of my own original stuff and see if it can be, fished out.
Yes, and that's how I got a lot of my music, was because not through MusicBed, a totally other site that I bought some music licensings from, and some of those bands on there are absolutely amazing. Not MusicBed again, the one that I bought from, which I kind of don't want to advertise because they changed everything up since I bought it from them. But I'll turn on some of my previous videos and just bump out to this music. I've had people ask me, "Hey, what band is this? They're really cool." But that's a different story.
Yeah, I was about ready to say farmed out, but that goes back to the farmclub.com and everything. Anyway, what's on the menu here?
Okay, so we do have permission. Ironically enough, we have permission to pretty much to read the article from MusicBed. And the article itself is actually titled, "You Don't Need Permission to Make Art."
Oh, no way. That's cool. Yeah?
And the first, they kind of have a little intro here. If you're waiting for permission to start making great films, chances you'll be waiting forever. Here's a secret. You don't need permission. We're in the ask for forgiveness line of work here. There's no extra credit assignments.
Wait. Hold on a second. Asking for forgiveness. Come on, tell me something. You go somewhere, you're not allowed to do something. You're saying there, Toad, that Will can run over, trespass a whole bunch of stuff, get some great footage and everything, and get off scot-free.
I'd rather keep reading the article. I think it comes off very, very early in this that this is more of a motivational article than it is an educational article.
Oh, in other words, the get out of jail free card isn't here. Okay,
right.
Let's move on.
I'm just gonna read something they told me in a messenger when they gave me permission. Ironically, I got permission for this, by the way.
Great. Okay.
They said, we noticed in your comments to your post, just for some clarification, what we had mentioned earlier, those comments, we are not advocating for filmmakers to be irresponsible in their shoots.
Yeah.
There's definitely a balance of knowing when it is necessary to take risks and being responsible in those risks. And they go on with an example.
There's only so many times you can get out of jail, get your get out of jail card. I mean, this brings to mind Alex Jones and his guerrilla journalism. Man, that cat was just like everywhere. The Bohemian Grove conspiracy video that he shot and everything. I mean, how many people know
that's
him?
a little dated.
I know, but it's like there's fame and infamy. I mean, what do you want to be?
You could watch pretty much any indie film and you don't know where they got permission for stuff. I mean, but we could go into that a little bit. I always ask for permission first because I'd rather be... I've got extra things because I've asked for permission.
Yeah, so have I.
Yeah, so you're looking for longevity. You're not looking for a great big flash in the pan and then all of a sudden, boom, better change your name.
I mean, I'm sure we'll get into more of that later. Oh, man. Because this is just the intro. There's no credentials. There's no grades. There's just you and your camera and your inexplicable desire to put something worthwhile on the screen. Motivational. Creative people have common psychosis, is that word? They have a common psychosis.
Okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, psychosis,
we all feel like big
class now?
fat frauds. Well, you know
I don't
what?
feel like a
when
big
I
fat
first started
fraud.
out, I did feel that way.
Dude, I'm not a big fat fraud. I can lift the back end of a Volvo.
Well, my biggest thing when you hear me every once in a while when people ask if I'm going to cosplay to something, and I go, yeah, I cosplay all the time. I go as a professional photographer. People believe me.
And there are people that actually do cosplay as photographers, and they're like, oh, I'm press man, and they're not actual press.
Yeah.
But, and I tell them, why where will you do your pictures? Like, well, I put them on Facebook, I put them here, and like, I want to be press. So why don't you just do it? And when you start out, you do feel that way. You feel like you're trying to be something. So this is very motivational.
Oh, yeah,
and I totally agree with that. When you start off, you have very little confidence.
Yeah, well, they said something there, fake it till you make it,
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so in a sense, hey, I'm the president of some unknown country, and by the same token, hey, I'm building up my portfolio kind of thing. Okay. So, yeah, fake it till you make it.
I'm going to skip a little bit here. They say, look, a lot of people feel that way, and they do. I felt that way. William said he still feels it. I'm sure at some point, Crazy Mark was even more crazy and felt that way. But we've been doing this for a while, and now we're a lot more confident. Yeah. But we still make mistakes. It's just the way things go. I mean, maybe, our podcast right now, not a lot of people are listening and watching. Maybe
wait a minute, though.
Change that.
Hey, wait. Some of those hits didn't show up. I'm sure in foreign countries they're checking us out. They listed a small bit.
But it will grow. Or if it doesn't grow, we are confident in what we do because. So if we make mistakes, we're still doing what we like, and that's exactly what it is as a creator. I'm not going to make excuses saying, well, maybe it's overseas. No.
It is overseas.
It's about what we're doing.
I want to say gracias. I want to say gracias to all our listeners out there in Spain who have been listening. We definitely have some followers out there in Europe. So,
and if anyone wants to start doing stuff like making subtitles for us, I'm completely down.
You're lighting in Sweden. Hello. Also there, was it Matt and the Madman down there in Oklahoma? They're listening in. Big shout out to y'all.
What up, bro? Okay, we have a lot to get through here. Maybe these feelings are even more rampant now that filmmakers' bearers are entry, mainly access to gear, have all been removed. Well, yeah, you could get gear so much easier now. I feel like now, even though people do feel like they're faking it, because they're like, oh, now I got a camera, people either feel overconfident
You're talking about gear. I remember there was a time when if you wanted really great gear, you had to rent it out for thousands of dollars, and you were limited to the film that you bought, which was also eating up a huge budget. I'm holding in my hands right now a Bolex 16 millimeter camera, and on the market at one point it would have sold for maybe $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. I picked it up somewhere for $300, and I've only used it once. With the advent of video, this dinosaur is now just a museum piece for people to marvel in awe at its dinosaurness.
Right, and that's exactly what this article is getting to, because now you have a cell phone, and you have access to Vimeo, YouTube, Periscope, all these things, even podcasting, you have access to all these different forums where you don't need that big of a budget to get started. All you need is pretty much a cell phone, and that's it, and Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi, go to your coffee house. So that's pretty much their intro to the 6 forms of permissions that filmmakers look for but don't really need. So the first one is education. Just that right there, I don't really know what they mean other than...
It's about a degree, man. Everybody thinks you're going to get some weird magical degree in college 3rd year that's going to allow you to ascend to the heights of a David Lynch. But no, really what they're saying is don't count upon a degree for your creativity. If you're creating film, you're an artist, just go out and do it. Do your thing, Don't worry about a piece of paper that's going to sit on your wall.
Yeah, they compare it to, like, you're not being an accountant or a doctor where you can't do your stuff without some sort of permission, degree. Just go out there and do it. I completely agree. I feel like this is way more to be motivators than actual forms of permission that...
Right on. Yeah.
When you look at the article, 6 form of permissions that you don't really need, you're thinking, I can start leaving waivers at home? We'll get to that a little bit later, but that's kind of what I first I'm looking for stuff that I don't already know, and this really is motivating. It's like you don't really need a degree to get started, and I completely agree with that. I don't know if people look at that as a form of permission, but when I taught at college, I constantly told people, look, just going to college isn't enough. What you do in this class isn't enough. You need to constantly be creating. All we're doing is helping you get that first step.
You got to create content. Always make content.
Right.
I mean, Toad's on top of that all the time, man. You see how much content. He's like a content vending machine, man.
If you are a student...
Toaden.
If you are a student, use that title, because as a student, you have way more resources available to you than when you're no longer a student. So if you're looking for permission, that title student gives you way more permission than what that degree gives you in the here and now. That's what I feel like, because I feel like when you contact places to shadow them and you say you're a student, they're going to listen to you more than, hey, I graduated 3 years ago, and they're going to be looking at you like you're trying to get something. But if you're a student, then it's educational.
Now, Will's doing some real cool stuff on his website and everything. Did you go to school for that or anything?
No.
There you go. And
he's got
he's got some great followers.
Yep.
Got some awesome content there.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure that... Go ahead.
Yeah, I got great followers, awesome content.
But I'm sure there's folks who have degrees that are consulting you for what to do.
Yes, I do, actually.
Oh, tell us. Do tell.
Well, I don't want to go too much into what it is, but I actually have a production company that approached me for photographing and mostly like how I do it and how I get my shots together. And
sweet.
Right. It's, because experience is the real degree. And that leads into the next one, success. Go ahead and read success.
Okay. Well, this one is cut off at the top.
Success. How you have to be...
that one isn't.
Yeah. No. Go ahead.
Okay. We might think it's easier for successful filmmakers to get access to interesting subjects. Enlist the help of talented DPs and editors. and drum up interest for their
DP
latest
is a director of photography, by the way. The people that help out and tell the direct the cameramen or our cameramen. So go ahead.
Okay. Yep. We might think that if we haven't yet built up a name for ourselves, if we don't have an impressive bio or about page on our website, then we aren't ready to swing for the fences. Sometimes we let our own lack of success keep us from success. We make small-time work because we think of ourselves as small-time people. This line of thinking is not only circular and self-defeating, but it's also just plain wrong. Talk to any successful filmmaker and you'll find it's just as hard for them to get great work. I messed that one up.
That's okay.
Yep.
You could always sum too. It's okay.
Yeah. To get people interested and on board, to gain access to subjects. In fact, many successful filmmakers think fondly of the time before they gained any recognition.
Yep. Well, yeah, it makes sense because they felt like they had more creativity because they're experimenting. And I feel like that's a lot what we do. You're experimenting. And some people say, well, I'm not ready to take this task yet. Well, I mean, that's something that's holding you back. And I felt that many times before.
I felt it too.
In order to get success, you have to start somewhere. And success is a very, very opinionated term.
I mean, that never stops Simply Silva, the gorilla on Vine.
Right. Well, I feel it doesn't stop anybody. I mean, it's like, or it does stop people, but it shouldn't stop anybody because, in the end, look at our podcast. Forget about the views. Forget about the subscribers. We all started at 0. I posted a podcast today. As of right now, it's got 15 views. But you know what? We finished one and we finished another one and we're on 13
content.
And if that's not successful, that we're able to keep continuing,
make it happen.
Someone's listening to this and watching us right now. We're on several platforms. We're welcomed on Pod Bros, which I have a lot of respect for Pod Bros. Awesome for them. We get invited each individually. We've been going to cons individually for a while. Now we're actually getting invited as a group. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah, think about it this way, out there in the listening and viewing audience, one of you has a video your mom shot of the cat doing a trick, and if you post that online, that might take off. It might get 1 million views.
Well,
you never can tell.
We're talking more creative than being lucky. We did talk about lucky amateurs, like episode 1 or 2. This is about being creative.
What if you do something creative with the cat?
Okay. Well, a lot of people film their dogs, and yes, they got to be creative with it, and they have to be able to market that. There's a lot to do with that. I feel like this article is really towards our media creators and entrepreneurs. I feel you could take a lot of these things and transfer it over. To finish up the success little section here is. In the past, investment was a form of permission for filmmakers, meaning once people invest in your money, there was your permission. Hey, look, I have a budget. As mentioned before, we don't need that anymore. And they talk a little about Kickstarter campaigns and stuff like that. But I have my own opinions about crowdfunding. I feel like you already need a crowd to crowdfund, unless you're just crowdfunding your own small independent crowd. And that comes with success. And that comes with we'll do a whole episode devoted to crowdfunding another day. The next one is actual permission. Now, this is where a lot of people in the comments and myself go, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Actual permission. Back again with the Alex Jones situation.
Situations. The situations where people want you to go jump into an abandoned house, and then turns out the abandoned house has an owner, and you didn't ask permission, so now they're going to sue you.
Your get out of jail card is expired.
Well, let's hear them out first. There is so much red tape around where, when, what, and whom you can film, and we don't want to advocate breaking the law. So right there is them saying don't go into abandoned buildings because you could really get hurt. You don't know. And you also get potentially things confiscated from you. But they do say this. Rule followers rarely make exciting films.
That's correct. That's correct.
For example, Ben Knight, I don't know who that is, and his film Damnation, don't know what that is. A project that required Ben to trespass, spent 18 hours in a restricted blast zone, and got threatened with arrest. Had Ben followed the rules, there is no way the film would have turned out as fascinating as it did, if it turned out at all. Here's Ben on occasion, I think you should always ask permission.
That's
Hey,
good.
you never know.
That's good, but if it's not going to kill anybody, take a chance. Jump out there. If it's not killing anybody, if it's not incriminating anybody, if it's not hurting anyone, give it a shot.
I'm going to disagree.
Yeah, because
I'm going to disagree.
If you're at a spur of the moment situation and something's happening that you feel is really going to get a lot of notice and people are going to check
It's
it
not all
out.
about notice. I mean, there's been times, but there's been times where I've seen people break out and fight. There's been times where I see car accidents. There's been times where, you see something that's going to end up on the news later. My first reaction isn't to grab out my camera and start filming. My first reaction is, what should I do here? If people jump into a fight, I've done that. People jumped into a fight and I see people grabbing their cell phones out. I'm grabbing people off each other if I know them. I'm calling people. Like, hey, let's break this up. If it's something I need to break up.
See, now your mind's on fights and things like that. My mind was on, say, for example, I see a horse pulling
Okay.
off a trick that's really bizarre. That, wait a minute, a horse isn't supposed to do that. I'm going to have my camera ready. And I'm going to, whoa, let's get that horse doing that weird magical trick.
See, with me, is the horse on public ground? Is can I film that horse? I know these are exactly some of the things that they're warning against, but you know what? A horse is considered a pet, and pets are treated almost, they're treated like children. You need the owner's permission because they're treated like they're underage. Now, horses, if it's a show horse and they're doing this as a talent thing, that's one thing. But if this is over a fence in someone's field, yeah, you're from the sidewalk, so you could be okay. But there's so much gray area.
Yeah, see, once again, if it isn't hurting anyone, I'm going to go with the Alex Jones. I'm going to drift back. I'm going to drift over into that region, out of that gray zone, because I like a little bit of black and white. I like things right there in front of you, and instead of going, oh, what the heck? Maybe I don't know. Maybe I should or shouldn't videotape this. I'm going to get into a whole lot of trouble. No. You want to grab that camera and you want to shoot that footage,
And you can always ask for that thing. You could ask permission later in that situation.
That is correct. Not like
In that
people killing
situation,
each other. Come on.
You can ask for permission later. Well, yeah, but you see people do it all the time. World Star.
Yeah, the fight zone, stuff like that. That's...
yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to revel in people knocking each other's lights out and ripping each other's throats. That's no. I don't advocate,
To me, it's
kind of
very
thing.
much your own personal morals and how... they even say stay legal, even though that is such a gray zone. But at least they covered themselves. But it's a very much gray zone. I say you have to follow your own morale. If you don't want somebody doing to you, or someone with a really good reason. That's why I always ask kids, if I see a kid dressed up at a convention, I always ask their parents
That's an
permission.
age, a minor thing, definitely.
Always ask
minors,
permission.
age, yes, definitely. I mean,
And I know some people disagree with me, but I treat animals as if they're kids too. I always ask their owner's permission, and every once in a while I get a no, and I respect that, and I move on. And especially with kids, sometimes you'll get a no. Don't ask why. Just
like,
move on.
No.
And I found out later, one person that told me no, and I moved on. I found out later that person told me no because the kid was a foster child, which there were some legal issues going on, and that's the only reason why they went to that convention, because that convention put out rules and papers saying, do not take pictures of anybody without asking permission, and not all cons do that.
No.
So
Actually, that was the first con that I went to that did that.
Right. It was one of the first cons I went to that did that. They're like, you cannot just stand, and get candid shots. Candid shots are not allowed at that con. And when I found out stuff like that, it made me like that con even more because people were free to do things.
I got some.
You gotta look at both sides of everything. There's reasons why people tell you no. You might not agree with them, but some people do have really good reasons. But don't intrude.
I mean, folks, if micromanagement is your thing, then go for it. Listen to what Toad says. But if you really want to get adventurous, like a crazy Mark does sometimes, then really don't be afraid to whip out that camera, pull open that lens, and shoot, and produce. Because really, you got to find somewhere to start. Of course, don't go out shooting footage of people killing each other. Of course, later that's going to come back to haunt you. Like, hello?
Oh,
we
man,
heard you have
got footage of that riot. Oh,
you have footage of that. We need you to appear in court. That kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Or even worse, if you're in that riot situation, your gear gets destroyed.
Oh man, destroyed equipment. I've been there, dude. How about you?
Too.
Having any idea what you're doing?
Because you're busy playing with the camera.
Yes, because I'm playing with my lens. Anyway, in the end, the person who is notoriously the most withholding when it comes to permission is you. I'm not ready. You're asking yourself, I'm not ready. We tell ourselves, I don't know what I'm doing. So we read more books or blogs. We watch more behind-the-scenes videos. We continually put off making work under the guise of preparing to make work.
So pretty much to sum, it's exactly what we're saying. You have to just do things. And it's okay if you don't know what you're doing. That's why you do it. I mean, you can do a lot of research, and it comes apart as one way. But once you do it, everyone learns differently. Me, I could read a lot of stuff, but I don't truly understand until I need my hands on it. How do I load this camera? What am I doing?
Yeah, don't tell me. Show me. Let me do it.
Put the film in here. But if I just start filming, how's that going to come out? I'm not going to know till I look at it. So I start playing with the exposure. I start playing with different... Of course, this is an old school camera, but for example, but that's how you learn. And you can learn a lot by reading, but you don't truly, it's tangible. You want to
William,
see
you're
the
the
results.
photographer.
Every piece of equipment is different and individualized because different equipments go through different things.
Now, Will, you shot a
brand.
Yeah, you shot a lot of photos. I'm sure you ended up with tons of milky out of exposure photos. Or really?
I have tons of those. I have a couple where the depth of field was so small you couldn't see the whole group.
And it's a learning experience.
Yes.
I mean, we've talked about that one of the previous things. We all have made mistakes, like standing in front of the person you're interviewing between the camera and them. Turning the mic on, forgetting to hit record.
Lens cap.
Done that.
Forgetting your battery or tape stock at home.
Forgetting to charge your battery halfway through your job and it going, you don't have enough battery to do this no more, man.
Forgetting which day the shoot is on.
Forgetting your power cords. Oh yeah, we're all going to go through the forget stage, but that's how you learn. That's how you get wisdom and experience.
What is the one thing that you, in their opinion, so it doesn't have to be on the list, but that you were searching for permission from yourself?
Searching for permission.
Right.
To actually charge for my work.
Yes.
That's a big one, believe it or not. So many of us get pulled into volunteering.
Well, it's not just that.
Not just that, because I'm doing a volunteer thing now, and I accepted that after I started charging, because I agree with what they're trying to do. But, I mean, there was a time where I was like, I didn't think my work was good enough to charge for it.
Right. It's like, I've only done this thing over here, and I'm supposed to charge money? Who am I? I'm not a production unit. I'm not this. That was a huge leap for me too. It's like, should I just do this, which would just be enough to cover my expenses and maybe a little bit more?
Compliments don't pay the bills.
No, it doesn't. No.
How much do I charge? Oh, I'm not that good. It's a very difficult thing. I still struggle with how much should I charge.
Yeah, I'm researching that off and on too.
On that, with it's not that good, and how I was thinking that a lot until I had one of my former neighbors he has a photography business, and I just look at his pictures and I can tell you everything he shoots is in a full automatic mode, and he charges at slightly above common rates in the area, and he gets work.
And that's kind of where I kind of got my motivation too. I was like, look at these people. These people have been doing this for years. I'm better than them.
Yes.
Not, they might know more than me, but this is how I'm going to learn. You know, I had to give myself permission to expand, jump fields, talk to certain people. Well, they're only talking to these people that are really popular, or these guys over here. I gave myself permission to, you know what, just go hang out. Yep. And then I had to give myself permission to talk about my work, because so many times, and I hear this all the time from people, they come up to me and all they do is talk about themselves, and it looks like they're nobodies, but you know what? They're still somebody. Yeah. You have to give them, it's very easy to sound egotistical, but you have to give yourself permission to be at least a little egotistical and get yourself out there.
It isn't egotistical, it's confidence,
Yes,
it's like Ronnie James Dio said, I'm not an egotistical person, I'm a confident person.
When it comes to talking about yourself, though, you still have to first give yourself permission to listen and let other people promote and other people talk to. You got two of these, one of these, use them in that proportion.
Very good observation there, Toad. I like that.
Now I gotta start using it, right?
Yeah. Hey, wait a minute. A question here. Did we cover finances and money?
Yeah, we kind of skimmed past that one.
Because I was about to say, looking back on history of video production and outlets for creators, yes, it is. Finances and money.
I'm sorry, the way my paper was cut.
It's kind of like this. For finances and money, what it brings to light is that way back when you had very few outlets, and they were expensive.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, you had to be a rich person to be able to.
No, I covered it.
Out there.
I just didn't see the top of it. Yeah, the money. I covered it. We said about investment was the permission, so we did cover it.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't preference it by saying money because I didn't see it, but I did cover that.
Because I was about to say you had to spend an awful lot back in the day to look good.
Yes, we did cover that. We covered it twice actually, because we said one thing and then we said the same thing.
You kids out there got it good. To copy a photo, all you have to do is right click and drag. Back then, you had to get a thing called a negative. Take it down to the corner store and spend $5 to get one copy. Go figure.
So, Mark, what was something that you had to ask yourself permission for, or finally give yourself permission to do something?
It was definitely the whole deal behind getting paid. That, and also, too, now another thing, too, was I good enough to shoot particular footage? Was I accepted by the rock and rollers? And when bands came along, and I worked with and video shot, like Pantera, when I was invited back to party with Dimebag Darrell and the other members of the band, that's pretty special. When Jane's Addiction said, sure, sit on stage and shoot photos of us, back when they were releasing the Nothing Shocking album. When bands like Blind Melon say, hey dude, man, you're cool, we like your footage. When big time pro bands say, hey, your stuff rocks, then you're on the right track. So that was the big leap, is when you have big names tell you and say, look, Mark, your stuff rocks. It's the bleep, and you go with it.
Fantastic. So please comment. What are your fears? What do you feel like you need permission for? Once again, this article, you can find this on blog.musicbed.com. So thank them for giving us permission. Ironic, right? Because that's the type of person I am. I ask permission. And they did ask about the podcast, and they did look at the podcast. And to me, that is another reason why you ask permission, because when you ask permission, you're also advertising yourself.
Yes.
So
cross merchandising, folks. It's a marvelous thing.
It helps. To me, yep. it helps. So once again, please comment, rate, subscribe. Tell us what you think. Mark, crazymark.com. It's always about William, allaboutwilliam.com. I'm Toaden from Toaden.com, youtube.com/ToadenK. This was Media Layer Sandwich. So MediaLayerSandwich.com. Always big thanks to Pod Bros. Thank you for watching, listening, and I hope you enjoyed our discussion.